Yes, okay. All right. I first of all will thank the August Assembly for giving us the opportunity to complete the budget preparation exercise. The budget preparation exercise is multi-stakeholders, both at the departmental level as well as with our development partners. As we all know, we are in an IMF program. Budget exercise completion should fit within the enhanced, within the fiscal framework that we have to agree with the fund. The fund came here and we looked, there are certain government policies like salary reviews that we wanted to do, which we could not agree in the field. As such, we had to take the discussion to Washington during the annual meeting of the World Bank and IMF. So it was very protracted and extensive. As a result, we could not, as part of the program conditions of the IMF, agreeing with a budget that will be consistent with the fiscal framework is one of the conditions. And we could not unilaterally prepare a budget without coming to terms with the framework. So that discussion is what delayed the completion of the budget in country while they were here in October. So we sought advice and guidance, and the objective was government has certain emphasis we wanted to do, and to be transparent with the August Assembly, as it is already reflected in the budget, we wanted to do a salary review. And I think it was the request of this August Assembly that salary reviews should be part of the 2025 budget. Consistent with that directive and the executive position, salary review was proposed. But the level of salary review had to go through a lot of iterations, and on that discussion spanned more than 3 to 4 weeks. It was only during the annual meeting of the IMF and World Bank that the budget negotiations were concluded, and as a result, we confirmed and we reached a budget which was mutually agreeable to both parties. So that is what was the background for the delay of 2 weeks for us to delay the budget before the August Assembly. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, I have listened attentively to the point of order raised by the Honorable Member for the Common North and Minority Leader. It is my responsibility to make your judgment. Why I allow the Honorable Minister is to better inform me to make an informed decision on the matter. While I appreciate and acknowledge the challenges faced by the Honorable Minister and the government on the issue of budget preparation with their partners, it is clear that the amendment of the Constitution to provide for 60 days for the budget to be tabled is not met. I must therefore acknowledge and give credit and merit to the Honorable Minority Leader and Member of the Commonwealth. However, it is also very clear that the provisions do not go further to direct what next should be done in case a budget falls foul of the Constitution. What next? Noting that the budget is a very critical instrument, a legal instrument, that will definitely impact the lives of the Gambian people. I want to direct, whilst we acknowledge, I want to ask the Honorable Minister to ensure that we don't fall in this situation again. That the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, must be held at all times. And the provisions of the standing orders that we are quoting, that's 86.1, stands null and void in as much as it is contrary to the provisions of the standing orders of the Constitution. So, honorable members, with this in mind, honorable Minister, please do all what is necessary, bearing in mind and noting your challenges, so that come 2027 budget, we don't have this crisis. It's either, if it is possible for you to negotiate with your partners for a better time of negotiations, if that is not possible, for a possible review of the proposed constitutional provision. Laws are made to suit the people. We are not dealing with the Quran or the Bible. If we make a law that we think hinders our progress, we should be able to review. So these are the challenges we have, and honorable members, with your indulgence, I want to ask that we now allow the honorable minister to table this report.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Yes, honorable member.
The mics are open. I think I will lose my thank you, Honorable Speaker. I am using the Constitution, Section 6, to derive my point of order. And with your permission, if I can read Section 6.1, it says, any person, A, by himself or herself, or in concert with others, by any violation or other unlawful means, suspends or overthrow or abrogate this Constitution or any part of it, or attempt to do any such act, or B, aids and abets in any manner by any person referred to the paragraph A, commits an offense of treason and shall, on conviction, be liable to penalties prescribed by the Act of the National Assembly for that offense. So therefore, I am still submitting this for your ruling based on what you have said. Thank you.
Honorable member, you are not a court of law. That can only be interpreted and done by the Supreme Court of Gambia. If you feel, honorable, listen to the government. If you feel somebody has flouted the Constitution, you go to court.
No, but we've seen it. We have accepted. That's why we are going to use this.
Honorable, this is not a court of law.
But we are using this.
Honorable, please keep quiet. Please keep quiet. When we are talking, I kept quiet. Okay. Listen, I am ruling that you are out of order. We are not a court. If anybody feels that there is a violation of the Constitution, resort to the courts, and then they will make a determination.
Let me also ask you.
I am ruling it out.
No, before you rule, you have to
rule. I have ruled.
No, you're ruling. I said before you rule. I want to
I have already ruled.
No.
Honorable Minister, can you please take it?
Point of order.
This is against our
Point of order.
Please.
No, you don't want to hear.
Honorable, please.
This is a book.
Honorable, you see, this is an orderly institution. You are not here to showcase yourself.
Of what?
You must obey the law.
That's why I'm reading this section for you.
You cannot read it without my permission.
Point of order.
Please. Am I not making the you want to say something?
I want to read with your indulgence. Having made this ruling, of course, I acknowledge, trying to accept the constitutional clause that was highlighted. And however you take into consideration the predicaments that we confronted with as a nation, I appeal that strong warning be given to the minister and be allowed to lay. However, I want to move that before we invite the minister, if you can give a couple of minutes to the members to shed light on the move that is about to take, that is to lay the budget lately. Then there, people will know the digestion of the members in adherence to the ruling that you have made. Honorable Speaker, I tend to note the explanation that is advanced by the minister. The minister vested his explanation more on the review of the budget to increase the salary structures. According to the National Assembly, requested for salaries to be increased. I think the position of the National Assembly as far as salary is concerned is the review of the salary structure, but not the salary scale. If this was the basis, and I think that when the minister take this matter with the donor partners in Washington, this particular amendment take effect on the 21st of September 2023, passed here in the August Assembly, and assented to by the President on the 10th October 2023. Almost more than 1 year when this amendment was done. If the minister should wait until 9 minutes and take whatever they have to do with the budget with the donor partners to convince them, and that resulted to the delay, I have this ardent belief that the minister did not take into consideration this amendment. The minister did not take into consideration the reason why we did this amendment, so the National Assembly can have ample time to review and scrutinize the budget. Look at our cycle. So compressed. This is what we want to avoid. The minister is not cognizant of that fact. And I can see, basically, what has been advanced by his explanation is all vested on this move to increase the salary. If we have taken out the move and commitment and interest to the pride of the people, that should result to salary increment. I have this record to have started way back in January. Let him tell us, when did he start to work on that? Let him tell us, when did he go to Washington to inject the partner? That is a question. In those explanations that we can see, that should be the way for as advised by you. But the minister, what he has advised is not enough. He needs to add something to that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minority Leader. Honorable Minority Leader, I think I have cautioned the Honorable Minister that we will not continue to tolerate violations. And that come what may, next budget, they must make sure they stick to the timeline for the budget. That was very good. Whilst I also acknowledge the challenges the Honorable Minister said, I mean, dealing with our partners, our donor partners, is very challenging. We are only one part of many, and they are set goals and the targets and settings. While we acknowledge that, we want the Honorable Minister, that's what I said. It's either or, because we cannot continue to flout or violate the Constitution. They either are able to negotiate with the partners, however challenging or difficult it is, so that they are within the time frame of the Constitution. Otherwise, if the 60 days is not friendly, let them come and negotiate with the National Assembly and using reasons why they feel it should be the other way around to enable us to move forward. Because at the end of the day, the supreme interest of the Gambian people is what matters. So this is what I have said, and as you rightly said, I will give one or two people some remarks to make. I thought those things would have come in more when the minister tables and you are doing your debates, you can come out with those things. I recognize the honorable member for Lower Sound and then the honorable member for Sabak Sajak.
But give us chance.
Any other? Yes, the honorable member for Janjamure after Sabak Sajak. Yes, go ahead. Thank you very much. I will give not more than 3 to 4 minutes, please, to try to summarize whatever you want to say, please.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for giving me the floor. On behalf of my colleagues, and thank the Monetary leaders for enabling the United States and the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, in submission of the King Council Minister of these submissions, it is not convincing anybody. Honorable Speaker, we won't even vote of argument in this assembly. We are not given the independence and conference. Honorable Speaker, if you get the Constitution supreme ministry of the Constitution, it is coming to eliminate. The Constitution is supreme law of the Gambia, and any other laws found in the Constitution with any provisions of the Constitution shall be extended of inconsistent and above. Honorable Speaker, this is what we are not governed by ideas. We are 7 states that we are independent in 1965. Foreigners will never develop any country. Honorable Speaker, only the Constitution is breached, and even our system is illegal as national. What we are doing. Because this was accepted by the President the 10th of October 2023. It is a law. And all citizens of the country have to defend the Constitution. Whoever wants to contest, they will be good as a rebel. So, Honorable Speaker, in our city here in this place, it is illegal, one, unless the Minister of a good reasons. That reason also, it might contribution also court, not us, for interpretation, not here, but what we are doing is legal. And again, for 30% agreement, that should be one of us, not only budget in the first of November. In fact, the agenda was started the 1st of November. There will be a sitting in the parliament that was agreed by the ABC committee. Then, this minister statement was able to what in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I acknowledge that wonderful statement that was delivered by yourself and the observation raised by the Honorable Minority Leader and Member for Fiscal. I really want to stand and say that I am here to defend the Constitution, and whatever it takes to defend this Constitution, I believe every other member here would definitely support that. We are all Gambians, and we all know that the Constitution is the supreme law of this nation. And we will not stand here to do anything against the Constitution. But where do we talk about pro bono public honorability? To the best interest of the people and to the best interest of the nation. The Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia says
As we usher in the Second Republic and beyond, we give ourselves and generations of Gambians yet unborn this constitution as a beacon of hope for peace and stability in our society and good governance. In this spirit, we continue to pledge our firm allegiance. Honorable Speaker, having understood that we are human beings are bound to make mistakes. If the minister acknowledges that yes, he knew that very well there is a constitutional requirement, but because of the situation and the circumstances in which we found ourselves as Gambians, understanding those people that are suffering, understanding those low-income earners that are suffering in this country. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, there is an officer at the Edwards Francis Teaching Hospital, and that individual is undergoing so many difficulties as we speak, as far as his medical treatment is concerned. But because of his financial constraints, his life is at risk. And the budget, as proposed by the minister, is here to take care of those lives and the lives of people of our own country. Without those people, Honorable Speaker, this constitution would not be here. So please, Honorable Speaker, for the benefit of Gambians, I am begging honorable members that we should respect the constitution, but also respect the people for which this constitution is to protect.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Honorable member for the Gambia, please.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much to the minority leader for coming to this issue. My contribution, Honorable Speaker, would be I'll start with reflecting on the Constitution, because it's either I have overheard that if the Constitution is not passed, it seems there's no other provision to cater for the executive. If the budget is not passed, that means there's nothing provided in the Constitution that will cater for the executive to administer the day-to-day activities of this country. However, I just want to remind us on Section 151, subsection 4. I believe with that provision, the executive has what it takes to come up with a formal budget to run the affairs of the nation in terms of our financial needs. That is just one aspect. The other issue I want to elaborate on is the issue of salary increment, having the minister to use that as a justification to convince this August Assembly. For me, I don't think I'm convinced with that justification for the simple reason that it was on record. Both ministers, that is the Ministry of Finance, or both ministries, and Honorable Boy, Public Service, that what was going to happen is review and restructuring of salaries. Now, they're telling us that they're going to make 30% increment. And for me, that is not enough to take as an excuse. What we should look at is what is being violated, which is the Constitution of the Gambia. If the Constitution is violated and also having a motion table before us to decide, for me, I want to believe that everything that we are doing here today, this morning, is wrong. And we must recognize that and also find a way out. And in finding a way out, I want to propose that the Assembly go on a standard for the minority and the majority couples to discuss within themselves and find a way forward. But not for us. Thank you.
Honorable members, I want to believe that we are preempting impossible debate. Now, whatever excuses the minister might have given, whatever excuses the minister might have given, even if he had given the excuse of extraordinary review or whatever, does not go to justice, does not go to prevent a violation of the law. So that basis is not there. For you to be satisfied with what the reasons are used by the minister. It's not one-sided, what the minister said. It's not one-sided. Salaries is only one aspect. There are other budgetary issues with our partners that they negotiate to help sustain the budget. All those things are inclusive. But with all those things, the law is the law. It is flouted, it's flouted. But we look at the greater good. The greater good is what is at stake now. So, honorable members, what I want us to do, I've seen a lot of cards, and I cannot create a debate over this. You know, if we want to give everybody, we will spend the whole day here. No, the debate is not the issue. The debate is not important. You have formed an opinion, you have formed an opinion, but it's not a debate, it's not to be debated. It is on the basis of the request by the minority leader that will allow 1, 2, 3, 4 people to say a few words, that we go. But why do we, what are we debating?
Let's stand down and go and discuss.
Honorable minority leader, I think majority leader, I think what we will do, because I will not entertain the debate on this issue. What I will do is we ask the Assembly to stand down for 10, 20 minutes. You go and do your consultations, and you come and give me something. So I now ask that the Assembly will suspend for 20 minutes. National Assembly, or specify any legal consequence for the failure of the executive in meeting the deadline. In other words, it does not mandate us to reject the tabling of the estimates if it is brought out of time. In fact, the National Assembly's duty is embedded in Section 1521A, which is to give consideration to the estimates once tabled within the time frame provided for by the Constitution, that is 30 days, as amended. Honorable members, under these circumstances, we cannot rewind the hands of time to consider the estimates at the required time. Seeing that the estimates is a critically important instrument to run the affairs of the state for the next fiscal year, I would indulge the understanding of this August Assembly to allow the Honorable Minister proceed with the tabling of the estimates. However, in doing so, I will instruct the Honorable Minister to tender his sincere apologies without any explanation to this August Assembly on the failure on his part to meet the required deadline. Honorable members, under these extraordinary circumstances, and for public interest reasons, the tabling of this motion is necessary to avoid any possible shutdown of the operations of the state, including the legislature and the judiciary. Honorable members, after consultations with the leadership of both sides of the Assembly, it is therefore my ruling, in accordance with Order 8 of the Standing Orders of the National Assembly, that after the apology of the Honorable Minister, we proceed with the formal tabling of the estimates. I thank you. This ruling is final. Honorable members, I will now call the Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs to take the table and make his apologies.
Speaker and members of the August Assembly, due to exigency of the state, I unreservedly apologize for the delay in tabling the budget.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, and thank you, Honorable members of the National Assembly, both sides of the National Assembly. In the interest of Gambian people, the agreements you have reached, I now call upon the Honorable Minister to table this report. Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to submit for consideration and approval by the National Assembly the estimate of revenue, recurring and development expenditure of the Republic of the Gambia for fiscal year 2025. The legal basis for today's events, that is the tabling of the 2025 budget estimates with the National Assembly, is anchored in the 1997 Constitution and the Public Finance Act 2014. According to Section 152 of the Constitution, His Excellency the President shall cause the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs to prepare and lay before the National Assembly estimates of revenue and expenditure of the Gambia before the fiscal year for the following year. Furthermore, Section 21, subsections 1 to 3 of the Public Finance Act 2014 equally requires the Minister to lay before the National Assembly the appropriation bill documents, and Section 24 of the same Act specifying the contents of the appropriation bill documents. Consequently, these relevant documents are now incorporated in the 2025 estimates of revenue and expenditure. It is also worth to note that, considering the foregoing, the Public Finance Act 2014 provides under Section 27 thereof for the National Assembly to appoint temporarily or permanently a core team of technical staff to assist in gathering information, making research analysis on issues pertinent to its deliberations and resolutions on the budgets submitted by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs is responsible for the overall coordination, formulation of the national budget, in line with both the Constitution and the Public Finance Act 2014. Prior to its submission to the National Assembly, the draft estimates of revenue and expenditure should be considered and approved by the Cabinet. In this regard, we hereby inform this August Assembly that the Cabinet has already reviewed and cleared the draft 2025 budget. The 2025 budget is anchored on the reduction of overall fiscal deficit aimed at achieving debt sustainability and enhanced economic development by investing in human capital, infrastructure, and agriculture. For this reason, the Ministry intends to continue the drive towards the rationalization of expenditure, improving domestic resource mobilization, restructuring the debt profile to reduce the burden of debt, and focusing on concessional financing of infrastructure projects identified in the recovery-focused national development plan. Also provided is a program-based budget pilot 2025 to 2026 document, demonstrating the ongoing effort to transition from the traditional line budget to program-based budget framework. The addendum provides context on the economic and policy environment shaping the proposed budget and demonstrates clear links between the Ministry's, Department and agencies' budget programs and the recovery-focused NDP 2023 to 2027. By aligning the budget allocations with national priorities, this shifts the emphasis from input-based budgeting to performance-based budgeting, budget-focused budgeting, and enhancing the effectiveness of decision-making. This initiative aims to drive more strategic and impactful use of public resources. Furthermore, the draft 2025 estimate seeks to support economic development through provision of quality services in agriculture, education, health, infrastructure development, and the modernization of the public administration for a more inclusive and resilient growth. Emphasis is being placed on building the human capital base through investment in education, health, support poverty spending, including the emergency relief and the ongoing investment in the infrastructure and energy. Honorable Speaker, despite the global and domestic challenges, economic growth remains relatively stable, largely due to the stabilizing macroeconomic environment, strategic investment in infrastructural projects, increased productivity in agriculture, recovery in tourism, and resilience in the remittance inflows. This economic growth is projected to continue with provisional figures estimating a growth rate of 5.8% in 2025. This will be driven by the expected stability in the macroeconomic environment and sustained growth in the productive sector in the medium term. The debt vulnerability of the economy is being addressed, and the 2025 budget is designed to continue to reduce the debt to GDP on a sustained downward trend. The debt to GDP was 85% in 2020 and declined to 83% in 2021. And further downwards to 72% in 2023. And for 2024 and 2025, this is projected to decline to 69 and 66% respectively. The downward trend reduction is the result of sustained economic growth over the period and careful management of the debt stock through prudent borrowing and enhanced domestic resource mobilization. Although there is an increasing risk from climate change, growth in the agricultural sector is expected to be boosted by the ongoing programs and priorities enshrined in the recovery-focused NDP. The sector will also benefit from ongoing initiatives by the government, development partners, and the private sector. Meanwhile, growth in the tourism sector is expected to be supported by recovery in the global economy and the local market promotional initiatives. The government's drive to close the infrastructure deficit, coupled with sustained remittance inflows, will continue to serve as anchor for construction growth. With regards to electricity, the focus will be on improving efficiency, reducing transmission and distribution losses, and increasing domestic generation of renewable energy. On the inflation front, the sustained tight monetary policy stance has triggered moderation in inflation from 16.7% in January to 10.0% in September. The implementation of the new foreign exchange policy by the central bank, coupled with the increased foreign currency inflows, restored exchange rate stability. In the medium term, inflation is projected to decelerate further towards the central bank target of 5%. Deceleration in the rate of inflation will be sustained by moderating commodity prices, coordination of policy efforts by fiscal and monetary authorities. Similarly, the exchange rate is projected to stabilize in the medium term. This will be driven by sustained foreign exchange inflows and positive effects of the forex policy introduced by the central bank. Honorable Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to update this August Assembly on the status of the budget execution for the first 3 quarters of 2024 and the outlook for the remaining part of the year. The overall expenditure budget execution as at end September was 84%. This can be attributable to efforts being made to achieve the net domestic borrowing targets. These measures include constraints on expenditures on goods, on use of goods and services, with the execution rate of 57% over the period. The expenditure budget execution has been particularly difficult this year to unanticipated expenditures such. This includes the intervention of the government to the tune of $20 million to pay Norway arrears with independent power producers. These payments serve as tariff compensation to cushion the population from tariff increase, which would have put a heavy toll on the economic challenges on the citizens. On other expenditure pressures come from the hosting of a very successful OIC summit. The anticipated financial support for hosting of the summit was not realized, and government was obliged to bankroll the expenditures related to the summit. As at end of September 2024, revenues, including program grants, totaled 17.9 billion, exceeding the projection of 17.02 billion by 5%. Tax revenues amounted to 13.24 billion, a 3.26 increase above projection. Additionally, non-tax revenues, particularly administrative fees, reached 4.4 billion, significantly surpassing 3.53 billion target. These positive outcomes are due to the ongoing domestic resource mobilization efforts by the government, and Table 1 shows the breakdown of the revenue and program grants. The first column are the actuals, the fourth column is the second is the projections, and the year-end projections are at the end. The government expenditures are expected to be in line with the approved expenditure estimates for 2024. Accordingly, the total outcome for expenditures and net lending in 2024 are projected to be about 26.52 billion. This is mostly as a result of the curtailment of certain expenditures due to reprioritization in order to absorb the unforeseen expenditures arise during the year. On the debt interest, 3.57 billion has been expended up to end of September, of which 2.91 billion or 81.5% related to domestic interest expense. Expenditures on other charges is 7.98 billion, of which goods and services amount to 3.74 billion, and subsidies and transfers 4.23 billion. The projected outcome for other charges for the fourth quarter 2024 is 2.29, which brings the projected year-end total to 10.37 billion. The outcome for capital expenditure to end September was 2.57 billion. Projections for the last quarter are estimated at 797 million, bringing the estimated total capital expenditure to in line with the approved budget of capital budget of 3.36 billion. Table 2 indicates the expenditure and net lending for 2024. Honorable Speaker, the 2025 budget anchors on the reduction of the debt vulnerability and investment in human capital, principally education and health, infrastructure and agriculture to support enhanced economic development. To realize this, emphasis will be on the domestic resource mobilization, supporting the compensation of the core civil service, and investing in private sectors mentioned above as in line with the Recovery Focused National Development Plan. On the revenue estimates for 2025, total revenue and program grants is projected at 32.1 billion, representing an increase of 24% compared to the approved budget of 2024, which was 25.93 billion. This is as a result of significant increases in both the domestic resource revenue and program grants for 2025. Tax revenue is expected to increase by 23%, primarily driven by continued tax policy alignment, review of the investment code to strengthen control on tax expenditures, policy action to support tax compliance and enhance enforcement measures, and the implementation of digital solutions to improve administration. Both the corporate and personal income taxes are expected to grow due to strengthened compliance through data matching, revocation of special investment certificates of non-compliant companies, and other enforcement actions. Value-added tax will also see a boost in 2025 thanks to the ongoing audits in key sectors like telecoms and banking, planned audit in the hospitality sector, and the planned introduction of an e-VAT invoicing system, which we anticipate will reduce fraud. On non-tax revenue, is expected to increase by 45% in 2025 compared to 2024, mainly due to the anticipated receipt of $3.5 billion, that's $50 million, as the payment for the second tranche of the Gambia Pre-Asset Recycling Program. The 2025 estimates include expected budget support of $3 billion from our development partners compared to $3.18 billion in 2024. The bulk of the budget support is expected to come from the World Bank, 2.065, that's $29.5 million, European Union, $945 million, which is 38.5 million euros. Emphasis should be placed on the tracking of revenue performance, particularly for the domestic revenue, in order to ensure that the annual expenditure can be implemented for effective public service delivery. Table 3 indicates the breakdown of revenues for the fiscal year 2025 compared to 2024. Honorable Speaker, please allow me to explain the proposed expenditure contained in the 2025 budget according to the broad classification of government expenditures. Total expenditure on net lending are projected to increase by 22%, rising from 26.52% in 2024 to 32.3% in 2025. It is worth noting that this figure excludes foreign and domestic amortization, which when added yield the appropriation amount of 37.84 billion. The increase in the total expenditure is driven by increases in other expenditures, which is expected to increase from 21.13 billion to 26.12 billion. This is the result of increase in projected personnel emoluments, use of goods and services, subsidies and transfers, and capital, which are expected to increase by 21%, 30%, 29%, and 11% respectively. The projected increase in personnel emoluments from the approved budgets of 7.39 for 2024 to 8.93 in 2025 is largely driven by the projected 1.54 billion impact from the proposed salary increase and the increase of transport and residential allowances. The increase in the personnel emolument is due to an average of about 30% in salaries of the core civil service. In addition, the transport and housing rent allowances will be increased from 1,500 to 3,000 and from 1,700 to 3,500. These increases in allowances will apply to grades 1 to 8 under the integrated pay scale of the civil service. Similarly, the government is proposing to increase the tax exemption threshold from 24,000 to 36,000. That means anybody earning a salary of 3,000 per month will be tax exempted for the first 3,000 monthly. This 2025 salary increase will make a total salary increase of 60% from 2022 to 2025. 2022 30% and 2025 30%. And it will bring the total salary increase to 110% under the leadership of His Excellency. This is a manifestation that the budget allocation of the government is people-centric with the aim of improving the life and livelihood of Gambians. And another significant allocation is the $1 billion to the energy sector to ensure reliable supply of electricity. Debt service continues to attract the largest portion of the budget, and for 2025, 11 billion, that's about 29% of the budget, will be allocated to debt service. This is due to the commencement of the debt servicing for following the end of the debt service suspension initiative, which was triggered by COVID-19 response. For goods and services expenditure, the projected increase from 5.43 billion in 2024 to 7.06 billion in 2025 is mainly due to OIC-related expenditures, excluding vehicle travel and rents and rates and training. Nevertheless, expenditure on vehicle is expected to increase from the approved budget of 135.62 million in 2024 to 800 million in 2025 to cater for vehicle areas of 400 million related to OIC. Meanwhile, subsidies and transfers are mainly subventions projected to increase from 4.94 billion in 2024 to 6.39 billion in 2025. This increase is mainly as a result of the energy subsidy under the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, which is expected to cater for tariff compensation to Norway. Furthermore, increases in subvention for GRA with the anticipated higher revenue collection, hospitals, schools such at MOPSI are also expected to exert pressure. Table 4 shows the movement of the approved expenditure for 2024 compared to the estimate of 2025, including the percentage movements. Overall, debt service, that's including interest payment and amortization, is projected to reach 11.01 billion in 2025 from 7.5 billion in 2024. Debt interest is projected to increase by 15% from 5.1 billion in 2024 to 5.88 billion in 2025 because of the expected 63% increase in interest payment on external debt, as well as the expected increase in interest payments as on the 30-year bond. Honorable Speaker, consistent with the objective of reducing the public debt, deficit financing for the 2025 budget deficit will be minimal. It will be financed mainly from domestic financing and external borrowing. In a sense, the gross deficit is estimated at only 198 million or 0.01% of the nominal GDP. The budget deficit is the lowest in the last 10 years, much less than even 1%. And the budget deficit of 2025 is a reduction of 67% from the 2024 levels. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, the recent macroeconomic developments are showing signs of recovering economy, and this is expected to continue the medium term. The government is committed to making the tough decisions by consolidating ongoing reforms, particularly in domestic resource mobilization and expenditure rationalization, to restore fiscal sustainability and support broad-based growth. On this note, I hereby submit the draft estimates of revenue and expenditure for this fiscal year 2025 for the consideration and approval of the National Assembly. I submit.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members, any seconder? Yes, Honorable Member for Old and Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, thank you, Minister of Finance, for everything the estimates of the budget for 2025. Of course, let me second the motion of the Minister for tabling the national budget for 2025. And equally thank you for tabling as well. This is important to Gambia. We understand we might have issues with the estimate itself in terms of how it's brought to Parliament. But we recognize that it's an important document for Gambia that we all need to appreciate. And of course, give the maximum support that it requires as well. So I will speak up with that for you now. I thank the Minister and the Second Minister. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Honorable Member for Old Yundum, and the Deputy Majority Leader. Honorable Members, the estimates of revenue and expenditure is an important document. This pivotal moment not only marks a significant event in the fiscal calendar, but also sets the course for the economic trajectory of our nation. It sets out the macroeconomic variables of the country in relation to revenue and expenditure of the Gambia, and the programs it intends to execute to improve the conditions of the life of the citizens for the year under review. This is a momentous occasion, one that marks the continuation of our collective efforts to ensure that government's fiscal policies align with our aspirations as a nation. The annual budget is not merely a document. It is a roadmap to the future, outlining how our nation will utilize its resources to achieve sustainable development, improve public services, and uplift the living standards of every Gambian. We are all aware, honorable members, that the global economic environment continues to present us with numerous challenges, from fluctuating commodity prices to the impact of climate change. In light of these challenges, it is more important than ever that we approach our budget process with fiscal discipline, strategic planning, and a sense of urgency to address the most pressing needs of our people. Our budgetary decisions must be driven by a commitment to enhance the quality of life for Gambians, reduce poverty, expand access to education and healthcare, create employment opportunities, and ensure that our infrastructure supports long-term economic growth. Honorable members, as we embark on reviewing and discussing the estimates presented by the Honorable Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, let us do so with a deep sense of accountability. It is therefore vital that we as lawmakers remain steadfast in our oversight role. Our duty is not only to scrutinize the allocation of resources, but also to ensure that these resources reach those who need them most, especially the most vulnerable amongst us. Honorable members, as we lay the groundwork for the 2025 fiscal year, let us remember that our shared goal is to create a Gambia where every citizen has the opportunity to thrive, where the government is accountable to the people, and where development is both inclusive and sustainable. In the spirit of transparency and accountability, I encourage all members of this August Assembly to scrutinize the budget thoroughly, engage in constructive debates, and contribute their insights to ensure that the final budget reflects the collective wisdom of this Assembly. Cognizant of this reality, and of the provisions of Order 86.6a and b of the Standing Orders, the sitting will be adjourned to give members adequate time to review the document. Honorable members, as per the approved agenda of this ordinary session, the Assembly Business Committee has scheduled Wednesday, 27th and Thursday, 28th November 2024 for consideration and debate proper on the 2025 estimates, while the Committee of Supply will commence on Monday, 2nd and Tuesday, 3rd December 2024. Honorable members, before putting the question, I want to announce for the general information of members that the pre-budget training retreat is scheduled for the period tomorrow, Saturday 16th November, to Monday 18th November 2024 at Bakadadi Hotel in Kololi, along the Batin Harlem Highway. Accordingly, all honorable members are all to take note of the scheduled dates for the retreat. The Office of the Clerk has sought the service of various experts and technicians on the budget analysis and training to help honorable members in their scrutiny rule on the budget. Therefore, honorable members, it is important that we all attend this important retreat to enable us thoroughly to scrutinize and digest this very important document. On that note, honorable members, I now put the question. Be resolved that this August Assembly will stand adjourned until Wednesday, 27 November 2024. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. This Assembly now stands adjourned until Wednesday, 27 November 2024 at 10 a.m. prompt. Thank you very much.